brides are not only getting canceled on left, right, and center, the whole world is canceling on each other. So there's that mistrust it's building and building and building. And it's not a blush problem, it's a society problem. It's happening in all different kinds of careers because people have access to YouTube, they have access to social media, and you see these everyday people providing these expert level skills, and they think that it's easy to do and that anyone can do it. Welcome to the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, the show for bridal hairstylists, makeup artists, beauty pros, and yes, even brides who want the behind the veil scoop. I'm your host, Heather Dick, bridal business coach, salon owner, and ringmaster of a 50-person squad that styles hundreds of weddings every year. Around here, we go beyond the hairspray. Think scaling your business, setting boundaries, surviving high-pressure moments, and creating client experiences that everyone raves about. So whether you're building your bridal empire or planning your big day, grab a coffee or champagne, and let's talk business, beauty, and a whole lot of bridal. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Expansion Code Bridal Client Series. This is episode 2. If you are just joining us and you didn't listen to episode 1, I highly recommend it. We start at the beginning. This episode, we are going to be diving into the nitty gritty, and it is navigating challenges and expectations, conflict, emotions, high stakes situations. You guys, this is someone's wedding day you're dealing with. I think we forget that. I'll tell 2 stories. Second one is the longer one. I went to a wedding, a family friend, and as I'm sitting there, I don't really go to a lot of weddings anymore. And I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. And this couple has spent, Lord knows how much money, year of their life, maybe longer, planning and perfecting and making sure that we are having such a good time. And they are trusting Blush. They had hired Blush to do the hair and makeup with their wedding day hair and makeup. What a big deal that is. And we forget it. It's really easy to get just caught up in the motions and think like, oh, well, I'm really good at this and I'll just keep doing, bang out 7 makeup applications and go home and grab a Starbucks on the way home and hang out with my kids. No, guys, this is a big deal. And I think it's important for us to remember that when we are dealing with these challenges and dealing with clients that are having issues. This year is like no other year I've ever had. Usually out of 300 brides, this is a crazy statistic, but we'll have maybe 3 to 5 that didn't love their trial and asked for a second one, or were quite not upset, but like disheartened. Like, I don't know if I should like continue. Like, this really wasn't what I was looking for. My experience wasn't that great, 3 to 5. And I mean, that's a great statistic. That's 1%, I think. This year was totally different, entirely different. This is a really vulnerable podcast episode now, okay? And if you're a client listening to this, I hope you can feel and understand how seriously I take this. The way that Blush structures our business is we always do, well, we started now doing our trials at the beginning of the year till about May. And then those kind of trickle into the summertime. The reason why we started doing this is because with the volume that we do, these makeup artists and hairstylists were getting up at 5 a.m., doing a wedding from 6 to 11, maybe doing an afternoon wedding from like 12 to 3, and then coming to the studio and still banging out like a couple trials. That's a lot of energy output. By the time that service provider gets to the studio at 3 o'clock to do her trials, she's spent. That client gets nothing of them. Plus, traffic, construction, things run late, the bridesmaid didn't show up, the mom's late, whatever, all of these things are, and then this bride that's coming in for her trial has nothing to do with any of that, yet she's half an hour late starting. So I was like, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to do all of our trials at the same time. We're going to bulk them into 3 months. It's so much better. Plus, for the girls, the contractors, they are now making money way earlier in the year. So we start our trials this year. After one weekend, we had 6 clients send emails saying that they weren't happy with their hair and makeup. 6. I was like, what? what is happening? I called an emergency. I'm using quote unquote because I think emergency is a funny word to use in this situation, but an emergency mandatory meeting with the team. It was on Zoom. It was like 8 o'clock on a Monday night. I was like, you guys better pull up your pants. What is happening here? I thought it was an us problem. I thought that we weren't taking our job seriously. We weren't giving an elevated client experience. I thought that we weren't doing good consultations. I thought that it was us. And there are certainly sprinkles of truth of those things that I just mentioned, consultations, clients experience showing up. There's certainly that sprinkled in over the past year because we're human, but that's not really what happened. And that trend continued to happen, you guys. It was wild. My studio manager, she was starting to get scared to answer the phone. The crazy thing is, we didn't do anything different from last year to this year. If anything, we're better this year. We've tightened up our systems. We now have a studio client manager. So she emails the client, she gets their trials booked. It's not just me doing everything. Our studio is incredible. It's very well set up, it's a very welcoming place. We've expanded our services. We've got like, we do 3 month, 6 month check ins. It's on paper, these clients should have been happier, and they were not. So now we're at whatever it is, June, July. At this point, we've had 25 trial comebacks, we call them, or retrials, where the client isn't happy. And you know what it was, you guys? It was expectations. What would happen is the client would come in for her trial. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, I just kind of maybe want to change this on the wedding day, or like I want to change this. Let's say they want to do lighter eyeshadow. And what the makeup artist would say is, okay, no problem. I'll make a note. We'll do a little bit lighter eyeshadow. We can like kind of take some off right now. And then hair, I just want more volume. Okay, excellent. No problem. I'll make a note. We make really detailed notes in our schedule system, photos, videos, everything. In 2024, that was okay. It was okay to say we're going to do that. 2025, it is not okay. That's not enough for the client. They need to see it. They need to know that what they want is going to be executed. I'm speaking for the clients here. As I said, 300 weddings. So we've dealt with a lot. So I feel like it's an educated guess. They don't trust us, but they did last year. So what's changed? Why all of a sudden are clients not feeling this way? So I had to do some soul searching. What is happening here? Our service providers are saying things like, just make sure if there's anything you want to change, please let me know. It's completely up to you. You're not going to offend me. Here's the mirror. You know what I mean? So we're doing all of these things. A lot of times I did notice that one thing that was challenging that clients didn't like is they don't like having a big reveal because they're anxious. They want to see the process. So as we're going through this and I'm changing all this stuff, now we have a different contract in place. Clients have to sign this contract saying, I realize that I have to speak up at the time of my appointment. And if I don't, I am, forfeiting a trial at no cost. Just basically holding the client accountable, because what was happening is they would say, oh my God, I love it. And then they would go home and they didn't love it. And then they would send an email, a lengthy email saying, here's what I didn't love about it. Well, girl, what am I supposed to do for my computer desk on Wednesday? You had your trial on Saturday. That's really challenging. That's really challenging to handle. It's also really hard not to freak out because it's like, ah, why didn't you say something? But maybe they didn't feel comfortable. Maybe the studio was too busy. Maybe their artist didn't make it seem like it was doable. There's so many variables. It's not just the client's fault. We need to take accountability as well. Like I said, the second story was longer. That was a crazy challenge. Here's how I dealt with it going forward and how you can deal with other challenges that arise when it comes to dealing with clients, because especially nowadays, people change very, very quickly. Again, if I had a nickel for every time someone said, I'm so anxious this past year, I'd at least be 100 air because it was a lot. It was a lot. And I was like, oh man, there's so many anxious people out there. That sucks. That sucks for them. I wish that they weren't so anxious. How do we help them? How do we better our client experience so they don't feel anxious, so they know they can trust us? Because clearly there's a disconnect, even if it was the exact same as last year. In the first series, I talked about social media, expectations, that kind of thing. That's not going away. You need to learn how to deal with that with your clients. And don't just say, oh, that photo's filtered. Okay. So the client's like, all right. So you need to explain why it's a little bit challenging and what it's going to look like on a regular, not AI bot. Acknowledging that their expectation might not be realistic. Now it's up to you as a service provider to give them options. Love that photo. What a beautiful robot. Here are my thoughts on this look. I think this color palette's going to look really, really nice on you. It's going to complement your eyes, your skin tone. I love that for you. Obviously, the skin is not real. So let's discuss what kind of coverage you want on your skin. Do you feel like you like to have your skin showing? Do you like it to be a little bit more full coverage? That kind of thing. We're going to go to a level of drama that we can always add. I always say that with my clients, and same with hair. Like let's play around, and then we'll cement it on. Cement it. That's a silly thing. But how you handle these expectations is a make it or break it, my friends. Because again, if you just go into this and she's showing you picture after picture after picture, and it's AI, 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 and you just say, "Oh my God, those are all AI. Can you show me something real?" Girl, no, this is your job. This is where you pick up your phone and say, okay, love that vibe. Here's what I have of like a couple photos that I did. I did this wedding last year, and this is what she looks like. That's how you handle that situation. Don't make that client feel dumb. This isn't her job, it's yours. So you got to be the professional. The whole anxiety, anxious bride, pre COVID, it was very, very common for our brides to completely change their looks from their trial. And that's okay. We're professionals. We can handle it. It's no problem. It gives a little bit of anxiety. It's like, oh gosh, okay. You've never tried this hairstyle before, are you sure? But what would happen is pre-COVID, the bride would show up to their trial, be like, okay, I want my hair up in a messy updo, and then I want a smoky eye. It's like, okay, sweet. We do it. They're like, yes, I love it. And then we show up 2 months later or 3 months later, whatever, when their wedding is. And they're like, you know what? Actually, I changed everything. I want a red lip, I want a simple eye, and I want my hair down and curled. And it's like, oh boy, that's totally different. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. We do it. They love it. We move on. That was 2019. COVID happened. Now, brides are not only getting canceled on left, right, and center, the whole world is canceling on each other. So there's that mistrust that's just, it's building and building and building. And it's not a blush problem, it's a society problem. This is happening in carpentry, it's happening in auto body shops, it's happening in home builders, it's happening in all different kinds of careers because people have access to YouTube, they have access to social media, and you see these everyday people providing these expert level skills, and they think that it's easy to do and that anyone can do it. So what happens is when they have that trial, they say, "Oh my God, I love it," because they're people pleasers, and they don't want to have confrontation. That's another problem of COVID and just our day and age, to be honest. What happens is they go home and they're like, "Oh, you know what? I don't even want to send this email. I'm just going to tell them I'm canceling. I'm going to find a new hairstylist." That's how that goes. So if you don't nail it at the time of the appointment and you don't make that client feel like number one, you can execute that hairstyle, that they're in a safe space, that they can say this, and that canceling is not an option, you lost them. So that's on blush. We didn't have a ton of brides cancel out of the 25 that had issues. A lot of it, you guys, was like, I don't really want to have my hair down anymore. I want to have it up. I don't really want to have my makeup look like this. I want to have it like this. So, 25 is a lot out of 300, but still it's not totally different from what they had envisioned. And still every single person I handled with grace. And I said, "Listen, this is the most important day of your life. I totally understand that you want to love your hair and makeup. I totally get it. Don't even worry. Don't worry. It's all good. I'm so happy that you called me. I'm so happy that you emailed me with these issues. Let's get you in right away so we can put your mind at ease and we'll make it happen." Quick pause because I have to brag on my first business baby, Blush Artistry. If you know me, you know that blush isn't just work, it is love. And we are talking hair, makeup, skin treatments, private personal training, the full beauty experience inside and out that makes you feel like the main character, whether it's your wedding day, a birthday, or just because you love taking care of yourself. My team, they are absolute pros. They've got the talent, the heart, and the hype to make you feel amazing. That's why Blush is the go-to beauty squad in Western Canada. Can I get an amen? So if you're ready for a little glow up moment, head to blush-artistry.ca or catch us on Instagram at blushartistrymua. All right, let's get back to the show. And certainly, there was certainly situations this year where it was our fault, like one of our artists had to take a whole month off and we had to switch, like there's just things that come up It's business that it's hard to navigate, and that's always gonna happen. That's always gonna happen. But it's how you deal with it where you come out and you come out stronger and your clients trust you. When you're handling these clients of today's age, and also it's not just us that have had this situation. I've talked to multiple other companies and they're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? It's just today's day and age. And hey, man, if you want to come in for a second trial and pay for a second trial, by all means, we're going to put that in our contract now. That's all that happens. You just protect yourself a little bit more. You just say, hey, that's no problem. We can certainly do a second trial for you. When would you like to come in? You might do it at full cost. You might do it a little bit of a discounted rate. That's totally up to you. But it's not, you guys weren't, this isn't brain surgery. We're using hot tools and brushes to make someone feel good about themselves. So let's just take it easy. And if someone's scared to say something, that's a them problem and it's okay. Just make them feel comfortable when they do eventually say something. It was tough, I was like, "Oh my god, am I quitting? Should I quit this year? This is enough. Like, I've had enough of this." And it's like, "No, no, no. Calm down. Tighten your stuff, your contract's up, and move on." We talked a little bit about budget in the last episode and sticking to it. And all I can say, I also talked about this in an episode, $10,000 mistakes, but or $40,000 mistakes. But make sure that when you are quoting and you are sending out money and what you expect from the client, that you are 100% clear. You cannot change a quote after you've sent it unless you talk to the client, unless they've asked for changes, because that's a contractual agreement. So I have been bitten in the butt because I forgot to put travel out of town and it's only within the city and I lose money because I got to pay my girls. So just make sure that when you are dealing with money, it's a high stress situation. I mean, these brides are, like I said, they're paying a lot of money for this day, and they're going to be down to the penny sometimes. So you got to make sure that you're transparent. Do not show up with a surprise. Another fun thing to talk about when it comes to challenges is family dynamics. This is a little bit more of a fun situation than like anxious brides and money. I'll never forget, this is a goat show of a wedding, not on our part. I had a broken foot. I broke my foot at a music festival. So not only was I working on one foot, this we were at this person's house. I had Carly, one of my artists, with me. She's still on the team. And the mother, stepmom, walks in and she is wearing all white. And the mood immediately shifted in the room. And we don't know who she is, obviously. Carly and I have no idea who she is. And so, but I remember, so we're sitting there and now we're listening. Ears are up, right? If we're a German Shepherd, our ears are up. And we hear, oh my God, that's her stepmom. She's wearing white. And I look at Carly. If you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you are. I look at Carly and I was like, Carly, we gotta go. Let's wrap it up. Like, I was like, get out. Don't try to diffuse it. Don't try to make anyone feel better. Do your job, pack your shit, and get out of there because this is not our problem. But sometimes family members do make it our problem. And I don't mean like involving us in the drama, because at that point we're just like a sounding board. Lots of times the mom, mother in law, mother of the bride, bridesmaids, sisters, they feel jealous and they wish that this day was all about them. And I think that when that starts to happen, if you're a good people reader, which you should because you're in this business, you just take a step back, you make that person feel special on your own, and you just kind of allow them to feel their feelings without taking over the whole situation. Or you ask for permission to interject. A really good thing that we do at our trials is we ask our brides if they think that there's anyone that's gonna, like, be a problem child of the day. So, like, is there anyone that's, like, super picky with their hair and makeup? Anyone that, like, loves drama? And lots of times the brides will be like, "Oh my god, my sister. My sister is such a drama queen, and she's gonna make this all about her." So now we have our ears up already. So now we already know. So maybe when the bride is getting her hair and makeup done, maybe we take the bride into a different room. Maybe we separate her and we make her feel a little bit more safe and secluded so we don't have a lot of chatter in the background. There's a lot of different ways that you can navigate family drama. I could do 17 episodes on the amount of stories, and I will do like a horror stories of weddings episode. But as you get more comfortable with your clients, you'll feel a little bit more at ease doing things like that. But yeah, just use your discretion. and don't overstep. You're the makeup artist. You're certainly not part of the family. I don't think it's appropriate to start playing the whatever referee of a family dispute. But you're there to handle things. I have had a lot of brides that have been so anxious they're frozen, or they're nauseous, or they can't even sit up, or there specifically, I remember one bride, she had her head between her knees and she was like hyperventilating. I'm not a professional in trauma informed awareness. I do have a guest on the podcast, Anita. She talks about that. I highly recommend you get some training. Anita's incredible. Someone that will do trauma-informed training for spa professionals and makeup artists and hairstylists, because emotions are very high. Funerals and weddings, tons of emotions. Maybe someone is missing a family member that was supposed to be there. There's just so many things that could be going on. I just really encourage you to get some education on that. I'm not here to give you advice on how to deal with someone whose father just passed away, but there certainly are professionals out there, and I highly encourage you to do that. Actually, this year we're going to do some training with the team with Anita. I'm so excited because we don't know where we're walking into. Like, we're all like, hey, it's like, good morning, it's 7 a.m. and emotions are high. The more weddings you do, whether you are in your wedding industry, career journey, some of these stories you're going to relate to, and some of them you're going to be like, oh my God, I hope that never happens. Maybe you've had all of them. But as a professional, it's really important to pivot when you see an issue arising immediately. Get ahead of it. Do not make the same mistake that I've made in the past, where I just hope it works out. This year, after we had those six clients send emails that they weren't happy with their trial, I should have got ahead of it at that point. I should have never let it get to the point where we were at. I should have implemented the new contract. I should have done all of that right away. But I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. Same thing with COVID. I remember going on TV. Global News had called me, our local news station here in Edmonton, and largest hair and makeup team in Alberta, probably Canada, over 300 weddings a year. They wanted us to be on the news to talk about what brides should do. And this was before anything ever shut down. I remember specifically saying, don't cancel, just calm down. Nothing's going to happen. No one's going to cancel their weddings. It's not that big of a deal. Just everyone relax. Literally 3 days later, they shut everything down. And I was like, dope. I look like a dummy, but I'm not a professional and I've never been through this before. When something happens in your business, stay self-aware. Don't get too bogged down in the mistakes that you've made, and just be real with yourself. What do I need to change? What does the client need to change? And how do we do that? And then just go forward, because once you've handled all the hard stuff, now it's time to turn those clients into lifelong clients. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode, is how do you turn a wedding day into forever? One challenge I want you to think about that you've been avoiding. So how can you reframe it with compassion and boundaries? What is something that you're really kind of hitting your head against the wall with? Is it contracts? Is it dealing with difficult clients? Is it communication? Do a little bit of thinking about that. And, I'm always here. You can send me an email, hit me in the DMs. We can chat about it. I offer coaching strategy, even just a one-on-one, if you don't want to commit to a 3-month, 6-month plan. I'm here for you. I've been through it all. Thanks for joining me on the episode 2 of the Bridal Client Series. I can't wait to talk to you next time. See you later. Thank you so much for tuning into the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, your VIP access to a booked out, balanced, and thriving bridal business. If you loved today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow beauty pro. For more tips and behind-the-scenes magic, hang out with me on Instagram at IamHeatherDick, or visit theexpansioncode.ca. Until next time, keep slaying those styles, leading with confidence, and remember, every detail counts, and so do you. Another little disclaimer: while I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay?